Hello, gentle friends, and welcome back to another exciting recap of Division 5M in the Reddit Eternal Blood Bowl League. Now, because I've been slacking off a little bit, this is going to be another 2-week recap, but to make up for that in some small fashion, I'm going to go through and provide a little bit more depth to some of the recapping that maybe you're not so used to from before. Oh no, oh no, oh no. We're also going to have ourselves an actual look at one of the big games from this last week. So we're going to kind of skip over week 4 in that regard. But then we'll come back in swinging with one of our biggest matches from week 5 that changed the entire course of the division. So let's get into things and get on to day number 4. So, what did happen on this here day? Let me take you guys through it. So we had on the very top of the screen Lord Croak's Knuckles. This will be the game that broke Haunt, that's the Lizard coach's losing streak. They lost the first 3 games of the division, putting them into a rather awkward position indeed. And now, then, they won their first game against Green Is Mean, who themselves hadn't had the best run of luck up until that point. So, for Lord Croak's Knuckles, if we look back across the previous days, we can have a look and see who they actually lost to. So, on first day, it was to... Who was it to? It wasn't to anyone. They just came in as a ramp-up team, so they lost that one. Then they lost to the Children of Dune in a quite crushing fashion, 4-1. And after that, they lost again in an also equally disturbing fashion, 0-3. But day 4 is when it started to turn around for the Lizardman team. Let's have a look into here and see exactly what we got. So, as a result of this game, I don't even know how to pronounce that, but there was a decent amount of clobbering going on. Let's have a look at the stats there. So, just for the one injury, which caused for, let's see, I believe it's Bogart? Or maybe just Hip Hop to level. Hip Hop the Skink would get themselves Sidestep, which is, of course, an extremely useful skill if you're trying to make sure you don't get horribly murdered. I mean, you can choose where you get pushed back to. These skinks only get normal access to agility skills, so you might be expecting block if you haven't played a Lizardman team, but instead, just are limited there. For the Green Is Mean team, they did at least manage to get a level up. Not on this player here, Hitter, who got the MVP, but Smasher, who I guess got that one SPP from passing the ball at some point. Is there a pass in here somewhere? Yes, there is. A pass and a catch. There you go. Good job. Well, you managed to level up, and I believe Smasher the Blitzer would get a mighty blow as a result of this match, so well done to them. Alright, ooh, hello. Okay, looks like we're going to get a little bit of a... Okay, phew, we escaped. So on to our next match from week number 4. The Blood of the Elder, the High Elven team versus Children of Dune, Skaven Friends. Let's jump in and see what we've got here. So it was a 2-1 win for the Blood of the Elder, making that the 4th game in a row that they've crushed their way through. And as a result of this game, so you can see there's a fair amount of SPP going around, the catcher Emil Regis Relic leveled and got plus agility. So that's a now agility 5 catcher on the Elven team. Nightmarish to deal with. And I think everyone else, yes, there were no other levels in that game for them. For the Children of Dune, let's see, did they get some levels? I think, no, they actually didn't get any levels at all. They got quite a lot of incidental SPP, but they got Lita the Second, the Blitzer, halfway to level, Lazy Jessica, 1 off from level, and Wellington U off 1 from level as well. So they developed towards more grand success, but ultimately they did not manage to get anywhere. But as we'll see, they will get a little better as they go. Alright, so another big win for Blood of the Elder Children of Dune. Kabusta's squad getting pushed down a little bit. This was the moment at which the Children of June kind of went from being one of the top contending teams to being sort of on the line. And as we'll see next week, they'll go up against my team, the Dashing Haberdashery, to stay within reach of potentially being one of those teams that could make it all the way to the top. Hey, Ezgi. How's it going? Thank you for the flowers. So next up, we have the Mausoleum Maniacs taking a big loss up against the Mizra's under-ratted team. So the under-ratted squad have only lost once in the whole season, and that was because they actually arrived late. They haven't actually lost a game. They've just kind of been given a default loss. As a result of this game, I don't think too much happened, apart from for the Mausoleum Maniacs, Rabid Ronnie managed to level up. And for the Drunk Mystic, who is the Mausoleum Maniacs coach, they've been waiting for their werewolves to level up and get some skills. In this case, Ronnie would get block, which makes them about twice as likely to do something useful. As you see there, Rabid Ronnie got a hold of the MVP. Brittle Barry, who is the world's passingest zombie, who I think has successfully... I don't know if we can go and check. We will in a second to see how many times Brittle Barry has passed. It's been a lot more than you'd expect. SG, I am doing fine, thank you, and thank you for the e-hug. Have one yourself. Ugh, I haven't got my camera on, so I can't tell what I'm doing, but I hope it looks encouraging. The under-ratted squad. Let's see. Oh, actually, this was one of the ones which I didn't note down. But that's a decent amount of SPP there. Cutter, I believe, is a blitzer. So, yeah, under-ratted did very, very well for that last game. And let's jump to the final one of day number 4 as we come to the almost halfway mark. Eski, I'm glad that I reassured you by flailing my arms in a way where... Have an insert hug. Ugh. Gosh, that does look terrifying. So, this game, the Dashing Haberdashery versus the House of Westeros, is my team versus our good friend Sardayor. This would be the first loss of the season for the Dashing Haberdashery. Fortunately, the Dashing Haberdashery have made it through so far without really getting too clobbered, which is normally what happens to a lot of teams, with armor value 8, which is exactly what the Dashing Haberdashery have. But instead, in this game, it was actually the Kislev team, my team, who managed to inflict a kill and some missed next games. I think, yeah, the Dashing Haberdashery didn't actually take any long-term injuries, whereas for the Dwarven team, they had a player die moment who was eaten by a bear. Targaryen took a miss next game, so while Houses of Westeros won that game, they may have lost the war in a more long-term sense because they would go on to do a little bit less well with less of their big hitting players. Let's see. The player who died for the Dwarven squad wasn't that big of a deal, though. I got a decent amount of SPP for that one. So, get it off, would level and get block. He's one of my blitzers. The Clings to My Skin would use that 1 SPP to level up and get dodge to complete the block and dodge combo. Stuffing would get that kill, that's that 2 SPP there. And It's Got a Hold of Me is very, very close to leveling for a second time. So that's all good stuff. Martell is the runner for the Dwarven squad. They got 11 SPP in that game, and they would level up to get Kick-Off Return, which is an unusual skill, but a useful one because it lets that runner chase down the ball. One of the weak points for the Dwarven team is that they can potentially lose control of the ball when it's kicked to somewhere a little bit wonky. The Kick-Off Return helps alleviate that by letting the runner run 3 spaces towards it. It's a skill that only applies in that bit where you're receiving the kick and doesn't do anything else at all ever, which seems like a little bit of a failure of game design that it only does one thing, but I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. Eski, I'm afraid there probably won't be any more MC5 in my future. That's kind of evaporated, I'm afraid. But I hope to maybe visit back the first-person shooter field a little bit down the line. I'm doing a little bit of training on Valorant at the moment. Alright, so on to week number 5. SGGN, I didn't quit, they just stopped doing it. So that's why I had to stop myself. So we won't look into this upper game, Blood of the Elder versus Lord Croak's Knuckles, because we've actually got the replay for it, and we're going to be looking at this. So this loss for Blood of the Elder was huge, because this will be their first loss of the season, and to a team that was very far down the table in Lord Croak's Knuckles. We noted, Lord Croak's Knuckles only just won their first game in the previous week, so that's... I have no idea how this happened, that's why I want to look at the replay. The Mausoleum Maniacs were duffed up by Green is Mean. So this one, I think, yeah, well, there were no real casualties on each side. SPP-wise, Cruncher, the Blitzer, would get Guard to help Smasher the Blitzer, who already had a Mighty Blow. So they kind of got themselves a decent setup. For the Mausoleum Maniacs, Nimble Nobby is another zombie getting the MVP. I think the Maniacs have managed to attract an enormous amount of MVPs for their zombies. And yeah, that's really unfortunate. This was the game in which the Mausoleum Maniacs had that upgraded werewolf. Unfortunately, it didn't seem like it was enough to make a difference here, as they did take a fairly bad loss. And the Maniacs plummeted further down the table. We did have the Children of Dune going up against the Dashing Haberdashery. So this is my team versus the Filthy Skaven. I was really surprised to win this one. It was a really weird game. SGGN, I'm glad that... I hope that was clear enough what I'm saying, that the tournaments, the Modern Combat 5 tournaments stopped. So that's why I had to stop as well. Or at least they stopped being done in an official capacity. So the Children of Dune, let's kind of go into a little bit more detail as to what happened here. So let's look at the stats. So the Children of Dune, as you can see here, they managed to get a couple of passes in, but they did take one dead player. I think my team's probably doing pretty well on the whole murdering people count. Let's look at the stats here. So blocks were very similar between the two teams. Oh, it's coming back to me now. So this turned into... I mean, we can always go back and watch this replay if people are interested in seeing it. This turned into a real brawl between myself and the Children of Dune. And because I've got a bear and the Children of Dune don't, it was going to be a brawl that I was very likely to eventually win. Because the Kislev team have got slightly better armor than the Skaven, but the bear is quite a lot stronger. So it took quite a while before the Children of Dune took any casualties, but they all kind of came at a rush towards the end. SG, you're going to teach Turkish? Oh, to me? Or just generally, are you going to do that as a job? I'm excited if either is the case. So yeah, very similar amount of blocks, but the casualties you can see are very different, including the kills, so 5 altogether. A lot more running from my side of things. The passes were all, as you'd expect, very, very short from both sides. The ball possession was probably the main thing. I spent a long time trying to push the ball up the pitch while holding onto it. And you can see the occupation of opponent's half was there. You can see that the ball possession stats for Children of Dune, they held onto the ball for a very small amount of the game. SPP-wise, it was pretty good for me. One Flesh, who was a lineman, gets leveled up, and I think he got the... How did he get that money SPP? I can't remember. But I think there was a bunch of casualties and whatnot in there, and probably a score as well. And then they also got MVP, so that's why I've chucked Wrestle on them as a result of this, because I'm planning on making them into a more significant player than just a kick lineman, which the next lineman to level up is going to get kick, because it's a super, super useful skill for Kislev. It's got a hold of me. Oh, this was a pretty big SVP thing as well for It's Got a Hold of Me. This was put them from 13 to 16 SVP, allowing them to level up and get plus strength. So they are now a plus strength catcher. Hey, Mizra. How ya doing? I'm very excited to be playing against you. Is it tomorrow? Yes, it is. Tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Tomorrow at 3 o'clock UK time. Also, Mizra, if you're around at 10 o'clock UK time, I'm going to be streaming the match between Kabusta and the Drunk Mystic live when they're playing at 10 o'clock UK time tomorrow. So that should be a lot of fun. So in this match, the Children of Dune, they only got the one score in for Duncan, Idaho. Who was the player who died? Oh, it was Leto the Second. Yeah, that's a kind of a tough loss there because the blitzers are so important to this Skaven team. But Lady Jessica, with only 1 SVP, did level up and got accurate, so passing is very much an option for the Skaven team. That's kind of cool. And let's see, what else was there? Nothing too major. Oh, actually no, I take it back. There's a couple of missed next games. So Duncan Idaho, who's the two-headed gutter runner with block and dodge, misses next game, which is going to make it tremendously harder for them to win the next game. And also their basic gutter runner got taken out as well for missed next game. SG, you're looking at a castle. You go to him. See you. Ah, SG, have a lovely evening, and I hope your castle is full of, I don't know, princesses, princesses, or whatever you're looking for. But yes, this was a kind of like a real tiebreaker game between my team and the Children of Dune. I felt like I was extremely lucky to win the game, but I also got to really cripple the Children of Dune on the way out as well to make sure there's very little chance of them coming back in again. So let's get out of here and let's have a look at our last overview game before we get to the replay. Hey, Relax Gaming, how ya doing? We're doing a recap of the Reddit Eternal Blood Bowl League, which I'm part of, but I'm also running coverage for the same one. Ah, SG, I hope your commander is not in another castle. So, Underratted, undefeated and remains so, getting a 2-1 victory up against the Dwarven team here. So, to dive in a little bit more detail, one of their goblin friends, Ardguts, leveled up and got 2 heads, which is extremely good for the goblins on the Underworld team. The Thrower, I believe, got some level, and Glart's cousin as well. So it's worth noting that the Underratted team have got an extremely high amount of touchdowns scored, and that's one of the tiebreakers. For the Dwarven team, though they lost here, they did get a lot of levels. So they got, for their Troll Slayer, they got Sidestep, which is very interesting, which must have been on a double, but does mean they can no longer be surfed off of the pitch. I'm not sure if Stand Firm might just be better because it's not considered to be as team value inflating. Baratheon and Pain, both Longbeards, both leveled up and both got guard, meaning the Dwarven team now has 4 lots of guard to deal with, which is just wonderful, really. Just wonderful. Alright. So, let's take a little look at the leaderboard overall. We'll come back to this game up here, Blood of the Elder versus Croaks Knuckles, because we're actually going to go watch it. But for now, let's check in. So, Underratted and Blood of the Elder, both 4-0 and 1. The first form of tiebreaker in the game is touchdown difference, and Mizra's team has +10, which is far outstripping anybody else. In fact, I think if we have a quick check across to Division 5M, yes, the Blood of the Elders has only +4, so Mizra's scored 10 more touchdowns than they have had touchdowns scored against them, which is just crazy. So they're very well set up to win. However, over the next couple of weeks, my Kislev Circus team will be going up against both of these teams. So if I can beat both of them, as in actually win the game, then I think I can still win the league. Whereas for if either of these guys win and the other one loses, then that kind of, you know, puts them in a pretty good position as well. Hey, Lemon Blue, you can do it. Thank you, Lemon Blue, for believing in me. It's going to be a pretty tough ride. Mizra is a very good coach, and we'll have a little look at their team actually while we're having this discussion, because they are very, very nasty. So this is the team that's pretty likely to win the league. They've got a Claw Mighty Blow Blitzer. They've got a plus Strength Blitzer. They've got 2 throwers with all of the ball handling skills you could ever need, and block. And they've got a 2-headed goblin who's pretty much impossible to get hold of. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But for now, let's do the highlight of the night. The Blood of the Elder versus Lord Croak's Knuckles. I'm not going to be able to get it to it here, but I did go and get the replay from the player directly. So we can go and check out the very first loss of the Blood of the Elder team against Lord Croak's Knuckles, a team who up until this game had only won one of their previous 4 games. It seems such an unlikely circumstance that I was just intrigued. SG, have a lovely evening. You stuck around longer than I was expecting, but I'm glad that you did. So we played out the good old times. So this is the home stadium for the Elven team, and I suspect a lot of people just leave the stadium as the default one, which I can't really blame them for, but it's a bit of a shame. I wish there was more going on with the stadium in Blood Bowl 2, but maybe that's a Blood Bowl 3 thing. So we can see Lord Croak's Knuckles, headed by Haunt. Haven't had the best of luck. Let's skip through a few bits and pieces here so we can get ourselves started properly. Alright, we won't worry about sitting through the setup. Let's skip ahead and see if we can get to that first turn. Okay, more setup. Whoop, excuse me. And also, since I've got the chance to do it, let's grab the epic pen so I can draw on the screen as well. Alright, so let's see. So the Lizardman ended up receiving the ball. Okay, let me just move my... Is this set up? No. Okay. Alright, let's bring that music down a little bit. And let's bring us into a little bit of Blood Bowl. So, notable here is Freckles the Skink for the Lord of Croak's Knuckles team. A Strength 3 player, or a Strength 3 Skink, is considerably better than a Strength 2 Skink. Just for not allowing 2 dice blocks onto the ball carrier here. And because the Lizardman team are going to be relying on their Skinks to get that ball up and down the pitch, having a non-freebie attempt on the ball carrier is pretty nice. Alright. Going Bonehead on the Croxagore in the very first turn isn't so great, but we've at least got a couple of Sauruses in contact with the Elves. It looks like the Elves are actually going to move in and take a few punches here, which is surprising. Because I feel like even if you knock over the Saurus, they're just going to get back up and stand next to you again. Okay. Oh, okay, so it's a skink hunting expedition, which I suppose is fair enough. I expect to see all of the elves disconnect from the Skaven line. There we go, okay, so that's a hit. Sure. I think a lot of these Sauruses are going to break away and set up in this kind of space here. So you can see the defensive formation that Exodus is putting out, which is the dominoes. So several sets of 2. So you can't get a player into here. Oh. Okay. It almost looked like they were going to break their own formation there. But yeah, so this is kind of what I expected. That if the Sauruses get the chance, they're just going to move in and try and get the elves into a scrum. I think it makes a lot more sense to go after the players who don't have block. And there we go. KO straight away. Nicey nicey. And yeah, I think as long as there's a Saurus to back up the Croxagore, or maybe even a couple of Sauruses, so there's no way of getting... Let's see, you need to get one more assist in there, which is possible, but I don't know if you want to be spending a lot of time trying to punch a Croxagore, because it's a big old alligator. And let's see. Alright, so while I'm waiting for this to go on, I'm just going to quickly see if I can add in the epic pen stuff, because it is pretty handy. It lets me scribble on the screen. So what do I need to do that? There we go. Capture method. Filters. Add color key. Remove the black. And yes, I am now able to draw on the screen. Lovely. Control Shift and 7. Control Shift and I see. So there we go. Now I can draw. At least I thought I could. Oh, there we go. Oh, I know why that's happening. Excellent. So now if we want to, we can draw things on the screen. Lovely. Okay, so it looks like the High Elves have kind of been drawn into a slugging contest with the Lizardmen, and this is interesting information for when I go up against them, because, oh man, and fouling as well, I love it. That's not a great foul, but it's okay, it's no send-off. That's a sidestep skink as well, not really the one you want to be using it for that. Okay, so unlike the Wood Elf team who've got, you know, some options for going after the ball carrier. Ooh, that is not so good. Alright, so that's 2 KO'd players, I want to say? Yeah, 2 KO players including Geralt. Okay. I don't know if this is the right way for the elves to be approaching this game. This feels like a mistake because they're just getting into a brawling contest with the with Lord Croak's Knuckles, which is gonna favour the team that has a whole bunch of Sauruses. Okay, that's less good. But I don't see there's any way in which the High Elven team actually get the ball here, provided that there's no like really garbage dice. Ugh. Alright, so how many turns are we in? 4 turns, and we've already got 3 removed elves, one of them in a very permanent fashion. Fouling as well. Love it, love it. Man. And another injury with no send-off either. That's on the plus agility catcher. I could definitely understand putting on that one. Mizra, it might be that I just missed while I was sorting out my on-screen drawing things, but I don't know if I agree with what Exodius is generally trying to do here. But it's not like I have too much idea of what they should be trying to do anyway, but they just seem to be trying to get into a fight, irrespective of whether or not the dice are good. I just don't feel like the strategy is the right one. You know, it looked for a while like Exodius was going to try and, you know, slow the cage down, but instead they've tried to go after the ball cow, and I don't think they have players that are really capable of doing that. As we've seen, they're just going to get clobbered. And 3 die blocked by a Croxagore. It's like, I don't think, and I could be wrong, that Exodius actually ever got a hit onto the ball carrier, so the dice kind of just don't really matter if that's going to be the case. You know, maybe you could injure a few more people, but as it is, yeah, everyone's just getting murdered. I mean, that's a lot of KOs, but I mean, I'm prepared to be told I'm just totally wrong on this, but it doesn't feel like the High Elven team are going to be able to cage break a bunch of Sauruses at the best of times. You've got, you know, easily strength 4 players. The armor rolls are not going well for the High Elven team, but I think part of that is going to be that they're kind of just getting whacked constantly. It feels like it's a little bit lucky. Well, maybe like more than a little bit lucky. Oh yeah, okay, that's kind of rubbish. Yeah, having the ball. Wait, no, that's not the ball. Just having a side. That's not a sidestep guy. That's not even a sidestep guy. I don't know what I'm talking about. Oh, the sidestep guy's over here. Yeesh. I've not played enough elves, and I probably should try and play elves to kind of know what you should be doing here. But this seems to be playing into pretty much what the Lizardman coach would want, which is just to get as many hits as possible onto the elves, and at least try and put them in a position where they're going to have no time at all to try and score back. I think it's just going to be a whole bunch more pummeling that's going on here. I'm very glad for my squad. Let's see. He got turnover, rolling ones and dodges, suddenly got a bunch of removals. Yeah, I mean, that definitely doesn't help. As to whether that kind of makes... Like, I mean... I would say that the reason I don't think it... Oh, wow. A reroll on the Croxicle block. Nice. The reason I think it doesn't really matter is because I think it's just a matter of time with that style of play that you're going to eventually get beaten up. The fouls have been amazing for Lizardman teams so far that they haven't gotten sent off or anything. Because, yeah, you've got like a, what, 1 in 3 chance, I think? The desperation. So, yeah, for Haunt, all of the hits on the ball carrier have been pretty desperate ones. They've been 1 dice blocks by people who don't have block. So the chances of knocking the ball carrier over are pretty slim. I guess Exodius at this point is just going to get out of the way. And then I imagine it's going to be maybe a crowd surf. I think it might be a Croxicle blitz, though that doesn't seem the most sensible thing. Yeah, it's not going to be. This does... Okay, so if this is a push, and it will be, this is then going to be a crowd surf. Which is sensible. You remove any possibility of any shenanigans occurring. And, okay, that's just the reserves. That's okay. So, coming to the end of the first half, 3 KOs, 1 death, 1 injury. Yeah, I mean, that is pretty bad for Exodius. It didn't feel like... Even if all of the elves were left on the pitch, I don't think they would have been able to get a hold of the ball unless there had been some lucky dice on the ball carrier and the ball has scattered into a place they could actually access. Both of which seemed kind of unlikely. But Mizra, another time, if you like, you can always we can always come on. I know you said you want around tomorrow, but if you wanted to come on and actually kind of, you know, join me on analysing some of these games, including potentially your games after the fact, then I'd be more than happy to have you. So there we go. Score on turn 8. All looking pretty good. Let's we'll fast forward a little bit here because I can't imagine anything too major is going to happen. Though we can always come back to it if that is the case. Definitely the High Elves did put up a more traditional defense early on, but I think they then got really enamored of the idea of actually getting hold of the ball rather than just trying to defend. But I think that's what cost them. Alright, so let's fast forward till we get to the second half, because I can't see anything particularly crazy happening. The High Elves might get a pass in if they're lucky. Yeah, that's a hit onto Ridderspawn, who is a plus strength thrower, which is something I discussed, I think, with some of the other members of the division. We mostly came to the conclusion we didn't think it was a very good idea. because the thrower not getting access to, not being able to really make use of that strength particularly well. Oh, that must have been a blitz result. Okay, it was. Hey, there we go. At least that's a successful block, but I'm guessing there was probably a pass here. Yep, here we go. Alright, that was uneventful. So 2 of the elves came back. That's pretty something. I'd imagine that the high elves are probably going to try and go for a relatively quick score here. Though again, if you're Exodius and the second half the second part of the second half goes anything like the first one did, I think you could be in real trouble. Like, the only way I can really see the high elves being able to get hold of the ball when defensively is if they're able to sack the ball carrier before they get into the cage. Yeah, they don't see... This is exposing my kind of ignorance of how to play them as a team, but as far as I can tell, there's no tools to get them into a cage. There's no leap, there's no strong players, there's no frenzy or anything like that that would allow them in. Oh boy, another blitz! I think there have been 2 of them so far, and this might go some way towards explaining why this ended up being the results that it is. Though I will be a little coy about that, because in case anyone's coming this part way, to not ruin the experience of this game for them. Because I don't feel like repeating what the result is right now really adds too much to it. So, okay, so you've actually... So Sauruses with their long movement, speed 1, 2, 3, can actually get around and potentially even threaten the ball. I think they get... Probably, maybe not a blitz? Okay, there will be. Oh. Okay, that's surprising. So the Saurus then gets put in this position where they can't really do anything. And... Oh, okay, they're going to foul them as well. That is going to be another foul. I think that's like the 4th foul so far that hasn't gotten any players sent off. Okay, finally. Jeez. So I've seen the high elven teams before where they develop a blitzer to actually have mighty blow, and then they can start making more meaningful use of their blitzers. Oh, okay, that's pretty stinking unlucky. Though it's not a sure hands player or anything, so I guess it's not that unlikely, but at this point... Okay. That is an instance of some pretty ridiculously poor luck. Up until this point, I'm trying to steer away from that, but yeah, failing the pickup and then failing the handoff as well after you've burnt your reroll, that really stinks. Oh boy. I mean, the only good news, I suppose, is that the lizards aren't really in a very good position to take advantage of this, because all of their skinks are over to this side. But the high elves, I mean, are doing high elf things. I know it's the whole thing that if once you start taking casualties, you will take more casualties because you then can't defend yourself properly. I guess that's what's kind of happened here, which is that the high elves have started getting KO'd repeatedly, and then they haven't been able to put up a fight. Failing the pickup's kind of alright. I would be tempted not to. Yeah, I would think it would be better to not reroll, just because. No, I think you're right. I think that would have been almost certainly a score. Had that handoff gone better. I think there's something to be said for if you burn your reroll on the first roll, that there's a possibility that Nuffle just hates you. In which case, I would be more tempted to be, maybe I just shouldn't go for the handoff here and just run them backwards instead. But, oh my gosh. Wow. Oh, you're going to have to look at the dice statistics after this one, because that's some pretty lousy dice. Okay, I mean, at least that one had a prehensile tail as an excuse. But, oh boy, who was that? So that was Ridder's Pawn, the strength for thrower. I still think strong arm would have been better than strength for a thrower. Because you could do some crazy stuff with strong arm and accurate. Like, you know, throw things the length of the pitch. Whereas plus strength, when you're doing the throwing thing of sitting back, you're not going to use it. I mean, it stops you from being blitzed, I suppose, but that's a fairly narrow use. I personally prefer my plus strength players to be ones who are going to be involved in fights for most of the game, because, again, if you are not fighting your strength, plus strength doesn't do anything. So the extra movement of the Saurus compared to other slower players, the going for it goes bad, so at least that's a little bit of karmic retribution, and also a failed hit as well. Geralt is pretty big to be the player who's up there getting it. That's... Good lord. Okay. 6th chimes the charm? And also it was a pretty lousy foul as well. I do like that the way that fouling works is that you've only got half as much chance of being sent off if your foul is not successful. So that's kind of neat. Because you only roll the dice once. Oh, and armor break as well. I mean, at this point, the entire High Elven team is basically just 2 players and everyone else is getting punched. So that's going to be a going for it. Oh my gosh! Okay, I don't think this dramatically changes the result of the game, but it still is really emotionally hurtful to have to go through, and I feel very sorry for Exodius. The thing is, like, even if the High Elves scored there, which I mean, I wouldn't say they had the right to, but it was still a 1 in 6, and there's 1 in 6s. Yeah, the amount of ones, even if it turns out the amount of ones wasn't necessarily unusual, the amount of ones at important points is pretty astonishing. And for Horn, you know, a lot of the dice rolls which they're having to succeed on are, you know, like dodges with a skink, which admittedly is, actually no, it's quite a lot better than the regular 1 in 6. It's 1 in 9, I believe. Yeah, there's no way you hand off there. You haven't got any rerolls left. Nobody's got any rerolls left. You never do roll, you know, you never hand off, never do anything if you can avoid it. Oh my gosh! Wait, I think that was a dodge away from a... Let's see. Yeah, it was a dodge away from a Corksicle. Sorry, I was going to say a bear because that's the same unit, just with a different skin on. Which makes me think, actually, that the as much as the Magic the Gathering guys have made alternate cards with different arts on, there's no reason why the Blood Bowl guys couldn't just make alternate units that have the same stats but just look different and are called something else. I mean, you know, if they can do it with bears, they can do it with all the players. Yeah, what can you do, huh? So that's a 3rd injured player, 1 KO out. I don't think this is non-standard for a... Okay. Okay. I don't think this is terribly non-standard for our Elven team to be bereft of many of its players at this point in the game. Because they're all... Because of the base quality of all of the Elf players is so high. It's certainly the tradition of Wisdom that you don't need more than a couple of players to... Excuse me. To get your plan to work. In this case, I guess the elves, I don't even know what they're trying to do now at this point. There we go. Another armor break, that's pretty unlikely. But I know there's no way to say for certain that I'm right or wrong about this. I guess it's probably easy to just assume that I'm wrong. But even if the elves had most of their players left, I don't think this game would be fundamentally different. They still, you know, they've still failed to get in and get the ball when they did have all their players. So that they don't have their players right now and they're unable to get to the ball just doesn't feel like it's a different thing. Oh man, really? Sheesh. I guess when you're this far ahead, you can just get away with whatever you want. The prehensile tail. What? That was bold. Okay. I think, yeah, Horned really wants to level up their plus strengths skink. Which is fair enough. But without any kind of reroll, there's always a possibility you would never be able to pick up the ball again beyond that point. So it's going to be another blitz on a Saurus. Yeah, sure. Oh, it's pretty hot under these lights. But okay, I mean, I guess we found the answer to the question, which is that the elves kind of engage with the Lizardman formation. I don't know, like, the problem is that the... Yes, I think... Well, I mean, let's see. How poor is Exodius? They've got 1 death on a loner, which is whatever. They've got... Oh, jeez. I'll just pause the game a second so I can actually look at the injuries. So I think the game's not going to let me do this because it's a bit silly that way. Okay. Yeah. I don't know, I feel like this is almost exactly a standard game between High Elves and Lizardmen. Assuming that there's... Because the High Elves are underdeveloped and the Lizardmen are underdeveloped as well, the kind of options you have are pretty limited. So... yeah. Oh yeah, no, the team's totally fine. I think it's, what, like a... Miss next game at worst? Badly hurt? Badly hurt. Yeah, this is not a major deal for Exodius. Their team still is intact. It's a surprising loss, but I guess at some point the dice are going to turn against you. I do think that from where I'm standing, the bigger problem here is not that he got bad dice against them. It's that I feel like the approach wasn't right. Ooh. I mean, why not? Oh yeah, there's a level up. Sorted. Yes. A lot. So, if Exodius had won here, then I think there was a pretty good chance they ended up winning the whole division, because I think there's... So when I go up against the High Elven team, the teams are almost the same. They've got the same armor value. It's just that the Elven team has got agility 4 and the my team just doesn't. So I think they would just beat me up pretty badly. For you, Mizra, I guess the ideal situation is that you beat me tomorrow, and then I go on to then beat Exodius. Though if everything else is equal, of course, Mizra, you will come out way ahead because of the touchdown difference, is the primary tiebreaker. So you could lose against an opposing team, but if you've got 2 teams tied at the top, you'd normally expect if one team had beaten the other team, that would be, the team that won. But it's not that way. It's actually based on touchdown difference as the primary tiebreaker, which is certainly unusual. Was Exodius trying to give a interception chance to the Saurus? If they were, that was an odd choice. So after this, I wrote out a few sort of not playoff scenarios, but road to playoff scenarios, which we can go through. In fact, while this punching's going on, I might as well get them out of the way now. So, let's see, where are we? So, yeah, so the next 2 weeks are going to be crucial for the season. Mizra's squad playing tomorrow against my good self at 3 o'clock UK time will have to draw or lose the game against me and then their following game to not win the season. I think because the two teams at the top have very similar records, then it's going to depend on these next 2 weeks as to how they both do. Yes, ending the season in first position isn't that good for team health. I do agree. Winning your first season is very much a poison chalice because of how many murderous teams are waiting in the playoffs. So I'm not upset at all if my team doesn't make it through. Because I managed to make it through without my team getting horribly slaughtered and with a good bank balance, which is having an intact team and a full treasury. That's really the only prize you could ever ask for. You never get that. If you win a tournament, you don't get your team back up to full health. You just kind of get a little cup and the knowledge that you somehow managed to win when you probably shouldn't have. So Blood of the Elder, win or lose their next couple of games, which one of them is against myself, so I'll be able to have some influence over that. But if you guys get the same win or loss record over the next two, so that's Mizra and Blood of the Elder, then of course the tie goes to Mizra's squad. If Dashing Haberdashery, that's my team, beats both the Blood of the Elder and the Under-Ratted team, then they can win the division and follow in the footsteps of Kabasta, who got a Kislev team into playoffs and then stopped using them because they all got killed. Or at least enough of them got killed. But actually, this is going to be a little easier to do with the scoreboard, so let's get that up now. Come on, City Blood Bowl. There we go. Back in here to look at round 6. So, there are two teams that can't win, but they can affect the outcome of the league by getting a win or a draw. Green is Mean in 7th place are playing up against Blood of the Elder in this coming week, and if they beat them or get a draw with them, they really scupper Exodius' chances of winning. And Children of Dune, who I won against before, will be playing up against the Under-Ratted team in the final week. So again, if there's a surprise upset there, that could change the top of the table quite dramatically. Any kind of tiebreaker situation, obviously, again, favours Mizra dramatically so. So it's going to take a... Let's see. So if everyone... Well, that's right. So not from the top 3, obviously not everyone can win their games because all those... That combination of 3 are all playing each other apart from the Underworld versus High Elf. So I'm playing against High Elf, I'm playing against Underworld. So if I lose all my games, the guys both go up to 5 wins, and then it will literally just down to 1 week's worth of play whether or not who wins. Because, yeah, draws throw it all into a mess. Yeah, for Children of Dune, if they manage to get a big win, they could... If everyone loses at the top of the table... So I've got... If I beat you and Miz and the Blood of the Elder lose as well, we go up to 4-4 forwards and then 2 losses. And if the Children of Dune win both their games, they would go up to 4-1-2 as opposed to 4-0-2. No, 4-0. Yeah, 4-0-3s. So if Blood of the Elder and Under-Ratted lose the next 2 games, and the Kabasta wins the next 2 games, then they'll be 1 point ahead. I'm not sure. I guess my team would have to draw or win. I don't know. I've not managed to find a Blood Bowl playoffs calculator. Maybe I should ask some of the other coverage team if they've got one somewhere. But it's still possible for Kabasta to get in, or at least play spoiler to the top team. So we'll have to see what happens. But tomorrow is a big day of Blood Bowl. So at 10 o'clock UK time, we've got live Blood Bowl covering the Children of Dune up against the Mausoleum Maniacs. And then at 3 o'clock, we have got the underrated versus Dashing Haberdasheries. We're going to be playing half a division in a single day. That should be quite good fun. So I hope you guys will be able to come and join us for some of that. Mizra, I look forward to facing you on the Field of Dreams. For now, though, I'm going to go get some sleep so my brain works real good for tomorrow, because there's going to be plenty of Blood Bowl. I know I've been slacking off a little bit recently, but this has been your day 4 and 5 recap, so we are up to date, we're up to live. Mizra, thank you for coming along and chatting with me while I was streaming. It makes it a lot better. See you tomorrow. Hurrah! And may the best coach win. For now, though, guys, thank you for joining us, and we'll see ya tomorrow.